Hello guys, happy Monday. It's long weekend Monday, so I'm sure most of you might be taking the day off and doing something with the kids, with the family. Maybe you're in the kitchen prepping for the rest of the week, or like the rest of us, you're actually working. So well done if you are. And what better way to start the week than obviously we always do with a little bit of meal prep. Hopefully you did some of it yesterday or today because it's a shorter week, or tomorrow because you've only got 3 days to get through. But you'll remember, planning, preparation, that's obviously key. So it's a nice, quick and easy one. We're just going to do some lovely little Jeff Legend balls, which you may or may not have seen in the app, the recipe database. I'm going to run you through them and then talk a little bit about kind of what they are, how you can adapt them, good ways to use them, maybe some flavors you can play around with. But they're a fantastic option because you can do a batch. The recipe that I'm going to make today makes 10 little balls, which is great for a couple of days snacks, but you can keep them in the fridge and you can keep them in the freezer, and they'll last a little bit longer. So you can multiply out the recipe if you want to, make a few more of them, and they're going to last in the freezer nicely. Okay, so swipe in, let me know how you guys are doing, if you're on holiday or if you're not. Just say hello, let me know who's all here. Lizelle is here. How are you doing? And Sharon, good afternoon to you as well. Let me know if anyone's given these a go before, or made your own version of a date ball. That's essentially what it is. We're combining all sorts of nice things into a little ball. You can make them into bars. You can do any shape that you like. The kids are on holiday. You can get them involved as well, and they can roll with you or make a nice flat version, and you can stamp out some shapes and get creative with it. So now that we've got a little bit of time to try and entertain the kids, this will be a nice way to do it. And you've got a little balanced treat at the end of it that I'm sure they'll enjoy. You can go into some lunch boxes as well, or you can snack on through the week. Karen Shakes, hello, how are you doing? Kelly, how's it? Joe Jardine is here. Google, how are you? Mizo, how's it? Kelly says they are the best snacks ever. They are delicious, and I've got a little twist on them today, and the way that I like doing them, because I am a sucker for a little bit of coffee. So what I'm actually doing is busy soaking the dates in some coffee. So I'll bring up the little view of the ingredients, and I'll show you what's going on there. But you can do it in any way. You can actually soak them in a couple of different things. If you wanted to do it in a juice or a milk or any flavor that you want to get in there, but nothing wrong with a little bit of coffee, caffeine hits. So I've just got a bowl and a cup of coffee, and my 50 grams of dates are soaking in there. So it just makes them nice and soft as well, which means when you put them into the blender, they'll be able to blend together quite nicely. Anyone who was still with us at midnight on Jono's 25-hour challenge, I did a version of these, a coffee sort of cocoa ball, which is fantastic, and a great way to get through those dark hours when he was pedaling away there. But a lovely little way to soften up the dates. They pitted, and they're going to go in and hopefully blend nicely. And a little bit of coffee that I can just add if I need to get the texture right in the date balls so that they come together nicely in the blender. In a food processor, it works. In a NutriBullet, in a blender, whatever. Obviously, the start of this is your dates, making the date ball. So I'll run you through the ingredients. I've got 50 grams of dates there. I have got 20 grams of dried cranberries. I've got 20 grams of pumpkin seeds, 25 grams of oats, 20 grams of desiccated coconut, 40 grams of almonds, and a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of honey into that as well. So that's the base of it, but what you can do is you can vary this up a little bit. So you want to do a different dried fruit, so instead of the cranberries, use something else if you want to. You can play around with it. You can get some figs into there. You can get some just some raisins if you want. You can do some goji berries. You can do anything. You come to help me, didn't you? Harry's hearing all this about food and rolling balls, and he's come to say hello. Your seeds, you could do a different kind of seed. So if you wanted to do pumpkin seeds, if you want to do chia seeds, you can play around with them, and you get slightly different flavors and textures and anything like that, which is great. Oats, if you wanted to keep it gluten-free, you can use gluten-free rolled oats. I've just got the standard ones. But anything, the oats just kind of binds together, which is great. Coconut, if you don't like the coconut, you can swap that out maybe for another nut, or some nut butter or something. Any of those will work. And almonds, or you could do walnuts, or you could do macadamias, or any kind of nut that you want. So each of those components you can play around with a little bit. I'm obviously using cinnamon, and that's the flavor that I want in there. But if you wanted something else, you could do that. So various spices work quite nicely. Or you could do the cocoa, any flavor that you want there. You can play around with it a little bit and do that. So at the end of it, you can also roll it into something, just to pick up another texture and flavor if you want to. We've got a few things out here that I might use at the end. It says sesame seeds, chia seeds, or some cocoa, depending kind of what you want to do. Any of those will sort of work. All right. Karen says they are delicious, one of your favorites. Lizelle loves date balls, and the legend balls are such an awesome snack. Looking forward to seeing some more options. Esmery always struggled to make the date balls. You're looking forward to this. Cool. Tanya, it has been a long time. Thanks for joining in. Eunice, the date balls are delicious and you enjoy them. Great. So what we're going to do, we are going to make them. And they are super quick and easy to put together. All you really do is bang everything into the blender or your food processor or whatever it is. I've got my trusty little Omni blend, one of my favorite, my strong motor. Just make sure you've got a good strong motor in there, so that you're going to blend it for a while and it comes together. Otherwise it might overheat. Okay. So what we're going to do, the dates are in the coffee. I'm just going to take them out and pop them in. Okay, so 50 grams of dates. And obviously if you want to make more and go through all the effort at once instead of making sort of every week, like I said, you can freeze them. So just multiply it out and maybe do double the recipe, and then you've got 20 balls and it'll last you a good couple of weeks. Have I got all my dates out of there? I think I have. Okay. No, I don't. There's one more. Okay. And I'll keep that coffee, whatever the liquid is, to the side, just so that if you need to get your texture right in there so it comes together, you can pop a little bit of it. And then everything else is going to go in. So 20 grams of dried fruit. I've got the dried cranberries here. Okay. Let's see if this is going to work. I can actually get it in. 20 grams of seeds. And I'm using... Okay. 25 grams of oats are going to go in. These have all been in their little bowls like they normally are, which we haven't been able to find yet with our renovation. It'd be a bit easier than scraping them all off. 20 grams of coconuts. That'll go in. And then 40 grams of almonds. I've used flaked almonds. You can use them any chunks of flour because it's just going to bind it up. Just depends what sort of texture you want at the end of it. And then the cinnamon. So it's a good teaspoon of cinnamon. And that's that. All together, tablespoon of honey. All right. You can have that. Harry wants to taste the cinnamon, which won't be very yum on its own, but it reminds him of pancakes in the morning. All right, so I will pop this on. I'm going to mute you guys for a second, just so that you don't get the loud noise. Okay. Daddy,
I want to smell.
You want to smell?
Yeah.
Cool. So they're nice and chunky, and I think they're going to work. Just going to add a little bit of liquid. So just a teaspoon of that coffee, maybe 2. If you didn't do that, you can just add a little spot of a little bit of water or something. It just depends what that end things. You want to make sure that you can roll it together once you're done. Okay. A second. Cool. Done. Taste. Lovely. What sometimes goes quite nicely, a little pinch of salt. So once it's out, I might just put a little bit of salt in there. But that's kind of the consistency that you're looking for. Right, so lovely. Everything's come together, but there's still a little chunk or two that's going to make it carry it a little bit. Okay, just going to tip it all out. And then we get rolling. Okay, so it's lovely. You can see a close-up there. You can see little bits of the oats and the nuts, so you get some textures. Okay. Get them all out. One of the tricks to doing this that I've learned the messy way, it will make your life a little bit easier. Get some gloves. So when you get rolling, it's a little bit precious, but some medical gloves, because it gets sticky, means that you won't spend 20 minutes afterwards trying to get all the dates and everything off your hands. Okay, so just bring it together. Okay, and this is going to make 10. So I'm just going to break off 10 or so sizes so I can roll them all together. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you wanted to, you could weigh each one out to get it spot on. It will be close. And if there's anything that you want to roll it in afterwards, so if you really like your coconut, dip that out into a little bowl, and then you can do that. I think I'm going to do the cocoa because I really like that. But so we've got 10 there, all about the same size. There's one that looks a bit bigger. Just add it to another one. And quite simply, we're going to roll them. Okay. They should come together nicely like that. There we go. Okay. And if you, each of these quite nice, they're about 80 calories a pop, which is hardly anything. They're a combination of carbs and fat, really, because there's the nuts, the seeds, and the dried fruit. But if you're on the one-on-one, you can use them as either, essentially. So one ball you could either use as a fat, or you could use it as a carbohydrate, as your starch, depending how it could fit into your thing. So because they kind of half of each, one of these would go a good way to either. All right, so we've included them on the menus this week as well. So now you know how to make them. You've seen them in action, and maybe there's some flavors that you really like, and you can play around with it. You can change your nuts, you can change your dried fruit, or you could change it in whatever you want to roll it in once you've got all your balls together. All right. Alicia is definitely going to make these today. Super simple, and hopefully, I mean, a lot of the things, they all last. So if you go, you go to the shop, go grab them, the ingredients will last in your cupboard for a while. So you can make some today, you can make some in a couple of weeks' time. You can make a big batch and keep them in the fridge or the freezer. They'll last in the fridge sort of a good 5 days to a week, but they'll last in the freezer for a couple of months. So those are magic. Right, simple. And what I'm going to do, you can see them all there. I'm going cocoa. So just some cocoa. And pop it onto that. Why the cocoa is great is because everybody loves chocolate. If you're rolling it in like some coconut or some chia seed, you're obviously adding extra fat, extra calories to it. Cocoa, much less, you're getting flavor. So if you're going to roll it in something like that instead, you've got a pretty light end product. And it looks like a truffle. And who would not want to have a little snack that looks like a truffle? How's that? Super. Harry's hanging around for us to use this and make some hot chocolate afterwards. I think that's why. Have it? Licking his lips. You should have rolled these with me, boy. Okay. All right. How do those look, guys? Beautiful. Adele, besides almonds, are there any other nuts you can use? You can actually use any nut. So macadamias work quite nicely because they also have a decent oil content. It means once they ground down, they're going to give you quite a nice bound sort of end product. You could use peanuts if you wanted to. Walnuts also work quite nicely as something that's a bit different flavor and you get more texture. So pecan or walnuts, they'll give you a sort of a crunchier end product. But you can literally use any nut you want. Or if you wanted a much denser end product, you just swap the nuts for the same sort of amount of nut butter. And then you've got a slightly juicier, you'll see this one kind of, we'll break one in half, be quite textured and crumble a little bit. But if you didn't want that, then you could use the nut butter instead. Okay. So that, I'm going to taste one. You just taste the chocolate. Okay. So they're still in the chocolatey end product, but that's what they look like. And you could literally roll those in anything to play around with it a little bit. And you know, if you wanted to change the flavor, you could do 2 or 3 of them rolled in some cocoa, 2 or 3 rolled in maybe a nice little spice mix, like a chai spice mix would be quite nice as well. 2 or 3 rolled in some chia seeds or some extra coconut, anything like that, just to vary them up a little bit. All right. Karen, how many grams should each ball be? Let's answer that quickly. So they're slightly different sizes, but each one's about 20 grams. There we go. Super simple. Tanya, they don't last 5 days in the fridge. No, they won't. So it's only if you're very strong and you maybe don't walk past the fridge too often that they'll last 5 days. Joe Jardine, what do they count as in terms of nutrition? So about 85 calories a pop, either as one fat or as one starch. They're a combination of both, but there's not enough in one to kind of make up a full portion. So if you're on the one-on-one, kind of you can use it as either, because at the end of the day, it's a little bit more about the energy intake, and you can go either way with those. So if your snack has a starch in it, cool, use it for that. If it has a fat in it, you can use it for that, and it'll work either way. Leslie Kiora, down under New Zealand. You're going to make some tomorrow as it's 11:15 there in New Zealand. So that's the time that you'll be having the coffee and cocoa version. So you can just play around with that a little bit. Cindy says chai spice sounds like a yummy idea. Going into winter, I think that'll be super. So like turmeric-based ones, nice and bright yellow. And if you get some flavors in there, get the cinnamon and give a sort of wintry feel to it, will be quite nice. Pat loves the date balls as well. Wendy loves the legend balls, especially frozen. So Wendy, do you actually have them frozen? I've never had them sort of as that. It'd be a nice little frozen treat, a little dessert kind of thing. Maybe a nice way to do that if that's what you meant by it. Vicky just saying hi. Cool, super simple. Eunice, what's the coating on the balls? Just cocoa. So literally, I just got a little bit of cocoa, sprinkled on a plate, rolled it in that, just for a little bit of extra flavor, and it's going to give you a nice little chocolatey hit, which is delicious. You're going to try and make this next week. Oh, I missed that. Sharon, you're going to make that next week. Kelly, do you think you could make a pumpkin cinnamon version for winter? Definitely could. It just won't last as long because the pumpkin not dried, so the moisture content will be a little bit higher. So just got to play around with the ratio so that it still gives a good kind of sort of brings it together nicely. But that would be a nice one. I think close to the flavors that go into that spiced pumpkin smoothie and those sorts of things that we've got that would be delicious for winter. So let me play around with them. I think the chai one is a nice one, and maybe the little pumpkin, sort of spicy pumpkin, would be delicious. When do you eat them frozen? Brilliant. So there's a nice frozen treat going maybe more summer than winter, but there's one to keep in the bag. So you can actually just take it straight out of the freezer. Wendy has them like that, and it's a little frozen treat. Put them on a little stick and you've got a popsicle. You can treat yourself for the kids. So keep a couple of popsicle sticks around and maybe just stick them on there to make the kids happy. All right, guys, super simple. So nice balls, play around with the ingredients, swap them in and out based on your flavors and what you want to get in, but do a batch of them, keep them in the fridge, keep them in the freezer. I'll play around with some more recipes and see if we can spice them up for winter. It'll be quite nice. And we'll stick them up on the app for you guys. Hope that was useful. Bit of inspiration, something to do with your Monday or Tuesday, and get the rest of the week going. Involve the kids, get them in there. They're going to have loads of fun with it. And if you do some, pop them up, post them, tag me. I want to see all your lovely creations and what you guys have come up with. Wednesday, join us again. We've got Jeff Cook doing a lean, mean chicken schnitzel, and I'm actually jumping into the kitchen with a couple of my challenges. So guys, on the last week of my 21-day challenge, we were in the kitchen together, so it's going to be loads of fun on Wednesday. Friday, we've got a Jeff Ed, obviously all takes off again from next week. Jeff Games this Saturday, guys. Hopefully you're getting amped for that. Set the bar, test yourself against where you were a month ago. Or if it's your first one, get started and kind of see how you go. And remember, we've still got a few days of our 25% off special, Level Up. If you want to jump onto the one-on-one, see how these kinds of things tie into your nutrition plan, how to use your portions and where you want to go. There it is on that, which side? That side. 25% off your first month. You can go jump onto that. If you have any questions about anything in the nutrition space, guys, give me a shout. You want to know more about this or the one-on-one or the challenges or anything, just send me a message here on Facebook and we can chat. Tanya, you've made the Jeff choc balls a few times. They're a bit of a problem because you eat them all. So restraint. Maybe freezing them will make you eat them slower, and then it's a little bit better. You make a couple of them at the time. Or Tanya, what you can do is make a whole batch and send everyone else some so that you can portion them for you and there's not any others left. And you can share the love. How's that sound? You've got my address. You can send them here and I'll taste them for you as well. Guys, have a fabulous Monday. I will see you guys all on Wednesday for Jeff Cook, and enjoy your holiday tomorrow as well. Catch you guys soon. Cheers for now.